I'm out on my final big training ride of the year before the Maah Daah Hey 100. It is hot as cuss, and it's such a big ride, it requires 2 gas station stops. But that's not what we're gonna talk about today. Today we're gonna talk about my first mountain bike race of the year, which was 1 week ago at the Detroit Mountain Shakedown. Let's go! If you're new here, my name is JP, and I'm a teacher and a coach in northern Minnesota. I also speak very openly about the fact that I have bipolar disorder. And in this series, I've been bringing you with on the ride as I head back to the starting line of this year's Maah Daah Hey 100. There are 10 episodes in the series so far as you journey with me through various races and situations, and we talk about mental health from time to time. Welcome to the Bootleg Miles. Today's ride is roughly 100 miles at high zone 2, and I'm also testing out the new bike build I did on my mountain bike. There'll be a video about that, I think in 2 days that'll come out. Later this week, we'll just say. But today I want to talk about racing the old version of this bike just a week ago at the Detroit Mountain Shakedown. Just 4 days earlier, I had ridden the Maple Lag Chelada, which you can watch in my previous video. The plan was for the Detroit Mountain Shakedown to go to the well. To go to the well early, basically riding at XCO pace in a marathon distance course and see what my body had. Now, if I were picking a course on the Minnesota Mountain Bike Series to simulate what the Maah Daah Hey does, I would be looking for long exposed climbs and technical descending. Now, when we think about courses on the Minnesota Series, Mount Cato would truly be ideal. But Mount Cato is the same day as the Maah Daah Hey 100, so that doesn't work. When we look at the things that we want to see on the course to simulate the Maah Daah Hey, the Detroit Mountain course has none of them. It's the least ideal course in the entire series. However, it is really fast single track and requires a lot of problem solving, which my friend Gordon Wadsworth always says is important on the Maah Daah Hey. It also gave me a chance to test out a lot of my new gear, like this U-Sway and a new helmet, etc. Lap 1 was finding a balance somewhere between finding high speed and drowning. That balanced out in lap 2, where I kind of got my legs underneath myself and really started to feel good. And by lap 3, and especially lap 4, I was experiencing what a lot of people talk about on the mountain bike as flow state. I've never felt it before, but I did on lap 4. I was really moving. I didn't really have to think about what I was doing, and I set segment PRs for every single segment and for the total lap by a lot compared to what I've previously done. I was about to make a critical error, one that I for sure won't make at the Maah Daah Hey, for a couple of reasons. First of all, our plan is pretty dialed at the Maah Daah Hey, and it's not a day to take risks, whereas DM Mountain was a chance to be wild. We were a really good group of 3 working together. I was mainly the guy on the front because, quote, they liked how I kept the pace hot. But as we finished lap 4, we were starting to see 4th and 5th place ahead of us. I was supposed to swap out my U-Sway bladder and my water bottle after lap 4. And my SAG team was there, ready to do the F1 pit stop. Except, Dad decided, one more lap, that we were gonna try and do an F1 style overcut and stay out for one more lap. Lap 5 was going really well. We were still working together. I offered to give up the pacemaking. You wanna go first?
I'll go for it.
Okay. But then, roughly halfway through lap 5, I had a bobble. Oh boy, terrible line, sorry. And then it happened again. And the third time it happened,
maybe I would train.
there you go, man. Jason asked to get around me, which I don't blame them. Following somebody taking bad lines is a recipe for disaster. I tried to jump on board, but when I went to pedal, the lights were off. Check engine light was on, whatever you want to say. I went to take a tug off the U-sway, empty. Cue up the song, We Are F***ing. So remember how I said we were gonna try and race this like an XCO, even though it was a marathon race, and see how long I lasted? Well, I lasted 2.5 hours before I went boom. My coach, Adam Sabin, was actually really stoked about this because it showed that I was a lot more fit than we had maybe thought. If you remember from earlier in the series, we had a very delayed start to this year because of sickness in the spring. I crawled my way back through the end of lap 5 and eventually got restocked by my crew. You can put that one in and I'll use this. I tried to ease back into things on lap 6. I carb bombed like I've never done before. And eventually I pulled it all together. And in lap 7, I actually had my 3rd or 4th fastest lap of the day. I mean, I had really gone to the well in that first 2.5 hours. As a 43-year-old, I set 2 power PRs in that time. And I set 5 heart rate PRs. The biggest stat probably is that in 2.5 hours of racing, I had spent 45 minutes over 400 watts. It's no wonder that the circuit breaker eventually did its job and broke. We're just a few days out from the Maah Daah Hey 100 at this point, and between the effort at the Lag Chelada, the Detroit Mountain Race, and the long ride I did today, I'm ready. I feel very prepared. I'm really confident in where my fitness is at, and now it's just about executing a smart day with Derek Wallace on Saturday. I do want to say thank you, and I'm sure I will thank you again, but so many of you have sent me DMs, you've left comments encouraging me through this whole process, which really goes back almost 2.5 years. And especially coming back out of the accident, your encouragement it's literally why I'm here. And so I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart that we can go and do this and finish this film. A lot of content coming at you this week. And on Wednesday, there's going to be a kit reveal. I mean, you've already seen my kit, but I'm going to talk through who's on here and why they're on here and how they're supporting me. On Thursday, I'm going to break down my bike and how I've set it up and talk through some of those things, and you can watch me tear it apart and rebuild it with the upgrades. Friday, you're going to see a conversation between my coach, Adam Sabin, and I, where we talk about how I trained this year and how it was maybe a little non-traditional from how we would approach it with other athletes. And of course, Saturday is the big race. We will have an emergency podcast on Monday that will come out. Aaron Haugen, one of my cameramen and somebody that if you've been following along, you've met before and seen him in these podcasts. He will be hosting a sit down with Derek and I pretty much immediately after the race where we talk about how it went. Also, if you have questions for that you want Aaron to ask us, you can leave them in the comments down below and we will make sure they get asked at that time. Have a great day. Get out and ride your bike if you're able. Enjoy the day regardless. But most of all, remember you are loved.